Hello, welcome to Actual Play, Traveler Moons of Leviathan. We have taken a blow of a break because of stuff happening. I feel like we lost a bunch of games due to vaccination. We put several games where someone's just like, nope, just got the second shot, not feeling it. But
That's a great reason not to game. Like
it is a
there's
great, yeah.
You cannot think of a reason more joyful.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yay, we're very happy, but very not gonna stream tonight.
Yeah.
We're gonna try. I'm gonna try to remember. I don't know, Jeff. Maybe you have perfect memory. I'm gonna try to remember what we're doing. I have a general sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we were. I know one thing for sure was that in order to restore our stable orbit, the only thing that our engineer priests could fathom was that we have to use the capital ship Troy, which we just defeated in a very prolonged war, and I'm sure feelings aren't strong there, and that we're signing the official treaty soon, the official peace treaty soon. So two big events, two big deals. Anywho, I'm Sean Nittner. I use he him pronouns. You all know me. I'm playing Alexandros, who was the sort of he was the steward of. Well, no, sorry, he has only been the steward recently. He fought in a long war, and he returned home, and he kind of took stewardship of the ancestral space station until his brother returned, and his brother's back, but hasn't really been taken over the scene yet. He's been pretty messed up, and so we're trying to help him recover. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see what happens tonight. How about you, Judd?
Hey, my name is Judd, he, him, and I will be your referee for this evening, and I'll play everyone else, I guess.
Yeah,
no I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of see how what the system looks like on a ducal level, and what the kind of accounting ledgers look like, and what state the Ithaca station is in.
Yeah.
As we jump into it. So yeah, excited to kind of learn more.
Share
and to be back at it.
Yeah, this is Ithaca Station and the and Leviathan and all the various moons that circle around it. And yeah, the strengths that we have in the station are an engineering cathedral with an ancient reliquary, the recharging bay for the legendary true sword, and sassy robot servants. And the challenges that we have are decaying orbit and feuding knights. Last session was lots to talk about the decaying orbit, and the first session was lots to talk about feuding knights. Well, actually, we talked about feuding knights last time too. There's lots of
I feel like that's been a constant.
Yeah,
pretty well constant. And when we say the robots are sassy, not only are they actually sassy, but they are surveillance and stealth security robots. So they are actually SAS robots.
Yes.
I've been using that word a lot. I've been using sassy a lot ever since this game started. Like I use it in my day-to-day.
Well, it's in my brain a little bit too, because I'm used to SaaS as software as a service, so it's kind of just SAS. So it's kind of like a term I've heard often, but now I'm excited to have SASS as like part of my lexicon. So it's good times. I feel like, and Judd, you tell me if you had an idea of where to start off, but I feel like reconnecting with my brother is a thing that Alexis should do. Like I've seen him a couple times, but haven't really had any kind of private conversations with them that are significant. And I want to explore that. I want to see what he's up to, what he's doing.
I've got an idea for a starting scene, which is, I think, you and your brother sitting down with the station chamberlains and accountants, which is super exciting.
Oh yeah.
And just going over the books and seeing how things are looking. And I think how the books look is going to be a result of your role.
Yeah, right. Because I've been
and
governing them for up till this time. Yeah.
yeah. Since the
Yeah.
war ended, you've been dealing with it. So, yeah, let's see what kind of state the ship the station is in.
Yeah.
And where we're at.
Yeah, so this feels like it's kind of like if this feels like it's like the hard holders like start of session move, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
gonna roll this to
a
sort
little
of
bit.
set
Totally.
stakes. Okay, awesome.
Totally.
Well, I've got leadership 1. I think that's my closest attribute.
It sounds like it. That sounds like it.
So let's roll that. Let's do this and the other, and okay, mixed result.
Okay. Cool. So
I don't know if you had made a custom move for this, because you've been.
I haven't. I looked at that move, the hard holders move, and I looked over its equivalent in Burned Over, and they were both pretty simple. And you just kind of look at them, and then look at the plenty and look at the challenges. So I think the station is doing all right, but I think the dueling and the hospitalizations and the heightened security, along with the decaying orbit, are costing it money, and are causing problems in the books.
Yeah.
And I think your brother is looking at it, and the Chamberlains are all kind of, I think they kind of reflect the knights, who they probably serve, and they start arguing and bickering and trying to put it on each other. And your brother kind of leans into you and says, "Should we dismiss them all and talk about this?"
Yeah, I want to say that I think Couches would also be here, if that sounds right to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think I've kind of like, when he leans over to me, I sit there for a second and I'm kind of taking them in. My assessment, my just gloomy feeling about politics is that people are pretty entrenched. Oh, hey, Roger. Is that politicians are totally entrenched with their party lines, and that these guys are going to fight for their dukes regardless of who is right or wrong. Does that feel like that's what's going on here? Like they don't care about what's good for the station. They just care about what's good for them.
Oh, totally. Yeah, they are reflecting the knights who are literally knifing each other in the street.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roger asks, which version is this? And the answer is, it's like a Traveler Apocalypse World Burned Over rules / new rules that we're making up as we go.
Yeah, we're there. Yeah, what I've said every episode, because for some reason I feel guilty not playing rules as written, is that at the end of each chapter in Classic Traveler, there's a thing where it says like, and if the referee says that the universe works a little different here, and they might have a different rule, and I'm like, yeah, and these rules just happen to look like a lot like Apocalypse World.
Right.
And I'm also because I feel like there are swords in space and nobles, science, with science fiction fantasy vibe going, and I'm listening to the audiobook of Children of Dune, and I'm about to lead a reading of Dune for a summer reading program that I'm dealing with, which is super fun. I haven't been able to do anything like that in a really long time, so it's cool. Anyway, I wrote up a bunch of moves, and they were a little bit too like Frank Herbert grim, and so like I shared them with Sean. Sean was like, what the F? This is too grim. What is wrong with you?
I mean,
Why would anyone play this? and I was like, oh yeah, that's fair. I think I'm listening to too much Frank Herbert. I'll scale this back a little bit. So anyway, we're game designing as we're going a little bit,
yeah,
and
the tracks of the train is
yeah,
going.
yeah, and it's coming together.
Yeah.
And also like taking the things that we love about Frank Herbert and Knives in Space, and leaving behind some of the things that I'm not so crazy about with Frank Herbert upon rereading him, about once a year since I'm 16. So yeah, thinking about all that. But cool. Yeah, I think yes. So I think they're entrenched. I think like they're starting to get loud.
Yeah.
And your brother leans into you and says, "Why don't we get them out of here?"
Yeah, I want to find a reasonable reason to. I want to posit a reasonable reason to excuse them.
Yeah.
And I think, is it fair to say that that Paris doesn't have his, because Paris passed away, that he doesn't have his, that there's at least somebody, I'm guessing Paris, but there's at least somebody whose interest is not being represented here.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably.
Yeah. So I'm going to task it to them. I'm going to try to empower them, try to make them feel like they, that they're part of this process, and say clearly all of the knights have great wisdom over their various provinces, but without them all here, we can't. There's no way for us to know what would be fair. There's no way for us to know their minds. Please, good counselors, go find those who could speak on behalf of all of the families, so that we can hear them all. Submit them to our office. Send in the appropriate forms. And so I'm gonna try and get them to essentially. I'm sure that they're going to employ cronyism here and want to only talk to people who agree with them, but
right.
But get them to get representation from the rest of the knights.
Cool.
Yeah. So I want to manipulate them. Want to sway them. I think that's liaison.
Yeah,
feel right?
I think it
sounds
like liaison. It sounds like you're liaising. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I got a 1 in that as well. There we go. Turned on my dice hacking mod on Roll20.
About time. I was watching you last night. Your dice hacking was not on. You were.
Oh yeah, I was blowing it. Well, Roll with Friends, they didn't give me the cheat codes, man. I was really frustrated with Jamie that they wanted to use Roll with Friends. I'm like, but that's not the one I know how to.
Awesome. Yeah, I think they take the dismissal as gracefully as they can, and file out.
Did any of them make relevant points? I mean, I'm sure they all had their own agendas that were, from their perspective, totally reasonable. But did any of those things resonate as, just trying to get myself some context? Just what are the
I think they're blaming the other side for starting these duels, and I think they're dismissing the greater than usual cost of the decaying orbit as just part of the station's natural cycle. And just to take a little bit more from our own environmental political situation. I think they're just saying this is just a natural thing that happens. We can look back 30 years and the same thing was going on, more or less. And it just isn't accurate. But they're just trying to shove blame to other places. Without a doubt. And I think it is this kind of circular council room, and in the middle is the is the recharging bay where the true sword is scabbarded.
Nice.
And there's kind of an electronic hum where that is charging, and your brother gets up just to kind of stretch his legs, and he says, I don't know what to do about this vendetta nonsense. These knights, or the feuding knights, rather. It's not really vendetta. I don't know what to do about these feuding knights.
They were, when we had a common enemy, they were more manageable. They still sniped at one another, but the battlefield, turns strangers can turn enemies into friends when they realize that they have a shared foe. And now that the war is over, there's no reason for them to stop their bickering. We can, and he kind of like looks out. I think there's big old giant bay windows, and we can see the stars outside. And he sort of looks outside at the stars, and he says, "Getting involved in their particular fights is a mistake. I say that because I made it. I let myself get pulled in. I fought Paris. I thought it would assert control, and that no one would get hurt.
Yeah.
He was going to surrender, and that would offer us some respect from the other knights, but it's just caused them to squabble more."
Yeah, and I think you're both like walking around this room and chatting, and I think he's listening to you, and then he puts his hand on the scabbard of the true sword and says, "Knights," and from the pommel, like projects a hologram of like all 48 Ithaca knights, and in the air, kind of above you both. And then he says, "Factions," and then like you see them kind of start to divvy up, and it's like 35 on one side and 15 on another. And he says, these 35 were involved in moon to moon assaults, and these 15 were dealing with the siege on Troy. And never the twain shall meet. Each thinks the other caused bloodshed on their side. That's where it started. And and they're all kind of just like, yeah.
Which side is? I think Alexia would know this, but which of those does Nestor? Which of those? Categories is Nestor in? Because I think he's the biggest shit starter.
Yeah, he is, and I think the other thing is, where were you, right? And I think based on what we've heard about you talking about the war, is I think you were moon to moon assault. And so I'm going to say that Nestor was one of the knights in charge of sieging Troy. Yeah, the capital ship HQ of the seditious dukes.
Do you mind is it okay with you if we flip that around and I'd like to have just some, I think sieging Troy and then trying to get Troy back has a nice ring to it. If that sounds cool to you, unless there's something that.
How do you mean flipping around? Like what would you rather?
That I was sieging Troy and he was one of them.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Is that okay?
That sounds great.
Yeah. So, and also that puts Nestor in the majority, right? Gives him the leverage. He's with 34 other knights.
Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah. And I say Nestor is going to, it would serve Nestor's interests for us to continue infighting and to weaken your governance. We can address him directly, but he's going to claim that any punishment we levy on him is a political act and an unfair punishment, and he'll point fingers at others. He sort of like looks down and bites his lip and says, I wish he was the one. I wish I had been smart enough to know he was the one I should challenge if I was going to challenge anyone. But perhaps if we can make peace with him. I don't trust him, but I do trust him to act in his own interests. We have to. When is the treaty being signed? How far away? How far?
Yeah, I think the first ducal ship is set to arrive in like 48 hours.
Right. We need some kind of solution. We need some sort of stopgap that we can implement immediately. We need a stopgap that we can implement immediately that will at least prevent us from being in total chaos when the Duke arrives. Because if you don't appear to be in command of the station, he'll remove you. He'll remove us. He'll find someone else who he thinks can do it better.
And we can't just arrest him, huh?
On what charge? Stirring the pot?
Yeah.
And besides, I think they are a flock of peacocks. I say peacocks because they're the worst.
Are they?
I used to live on an orchard, and we had all these peacocks, and they would just fight all the time. And my roommates, they were high on acid. So I don't know if that excuses it, but they decided they were going to kill the alpha because they were hoping that would shut them up, and it just made it so much worse.
Oh, that sounds like such a terrible idea.
It was a terrible idea. So I say they were they're a band of peacocks. They're squabbling and squawking now, but if we kill their leader, that will the noise will become intolerable, and the chaos will break out even more. They'll fight more amongst themselves. I think, and I hate this, but I think we need to win him over. That, or we need to abolish the entire ducal system within the moons and let the people unionize as they've said, and disband the priest engineers hold and the knights hold over their lands. And he says that like deadpan, but like there's absolutely no serious like that is, this is Alexei's form of humor.
Huh. Could you repeat the last thing again? I lost it.
He says either we need to pacify him, or we need to remove the knights. Let the people form their workers' unions as they've sought. Divest the priesthood of its control, and remove the knights' claim to their lands.
Yeah, I think your brother smiles at that radical but probably correct idea.
I mean, that's how far it feels away to be able to change the system. Like, if we really wanted to fundamentally change the system, that's what we'd be looking at.
Are we one sword fight away from? Are we one more duel away? Like, is this just a duel we haven't had the courage to step up and do? That's not a criticism of you. It's just, I feel like Nestor has only recently outed himself. Does this need to be my first act?
What would you challenge him on? Disrupting the peace?
I'll find something.
I'm sure if you challenge him, he'll make a show of it. He'll do something to undermine your authority. He'll, as challenger, you get to choose the location. That just gives you an advantage because you can. No, sorry, we determined this last time. As challenger, yes, I think that's what we did because Paris challenged me, and I took it.
Yeah.
So as challenger, you'll be able to choose the location, the time and location, which means theoretically you can make this happen before the Duke arrives if you do it quickly.
Yeah, I think like his hand is like on the cross guard of the true sword.
Mm-hmm.
Looking up at the holographic knights and their files floating above you.
Yeah, I think like Minority Report style, the holograms are sort of like responsive, and I think they like pull Nestor's and like expand him, expand his thing, and I sort of like look at his various holdings and whatnot. Do you think it's reasonable to do something along the lines of like read a person or read a sitch to see if there's any kind of weakness that Nestor has? Because right now what we're toggling between is try to appease him, and murder, challenge him to duel, or we hope to murder him. And
I love it. Let's have some dice at the table.
Yeah. Man, my skills are blade, brawling, pistol. None of those apply.
Right.
I don't think. Jack of all trades, leadership, and liaison.
Right.
And
is this Jack of all trades?
I think so. I think this is kind of knowing like, Jack of all trades works a particular way in Traveler that doesn't really stand in Apocalypse World, but I think we could call that good. It's also my best skill, so I'm not gonna cry at that.
And why don't we say that there's like a diminished effect, to use depending on how difficult the thing you're doing is, or how technical it is, or how much technical training we think it needs. There's kind of a diminished effect based on what you're doing.
But because otherwise, Jack of all trades. If I had the right, I like that. So in this case, it might be one fewer hold or something like that. Or Okay, that's perfect. That sounds great. Okay. So I think I'm like pulling up his finances. I'm trying to find some hook we could use to, either call him out for a duel, something he's done that is a reasonable offense, or a way that I could sue for peace. I got a 9. No, mixed result.
Cool. Do you want to? You're reading a person?
I think so. Yeah, that's what's. All right.
Cool. So I think hold. Here's what I'm going to say. You hold 2, but I think he's going to learn some stuff about you too. So I'll ask you some questions, and these are the things that he's learned.
Yeah, that makes sense. I imagine I can see why he'd be studying me.
Yeah.
Well, here's the obvious one, and you tell me if you feel like this is the wrong kind of question. So one of the questions on Read Someone is, how could I get you to do X?
Right.
And tell me if you feel like that's like I'm jumping the gun there, but I think the most obvious one I want to know is how could I get you to quell your faction,
and I think as you look at his personnel requests and where he has asked for cousins and nephews and brothers and sisters in arms to be placed after the war, how you could get him to have peace is by putting all of his people in key positions in the station, which
Mm-hmm.
which would give him the power to all but take the station over at a flick of a, you know, um, he
Yeah, right.
wants, yeah, he wants all of his people at all the choke points. Yeah,
Yeah. So I think what I do is I like I show um, uh, my brother um, the Marquis. That's his title. I
yeah,
show him. I'm like, look at all these applications that he's made, all these positions, all these seats he's trying to fill. But I'm like, this is a coup in the making.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
He nods and he says he wants a foot on our throat.
yeah. I have one more question that I'm going to ask,
Yeah,
which is, but do you want to ask me a question first?
yeah. I guess the question he's looking into is, what are you feeling about your brother?
Oh yeah, how confident am I in my brother? I think I'm feeling apprehensive and I'm
Yeah,
really I think my confidence in my brother that I've been trying to show he could probably find evidence, the fact that I brought couches on and
yeah,
other evidence that I'm not sure if my brother has the kind of wherewithal. I want him to, but what I'm feeling right now is just apprehensive and
yep,
unsure if like I'm gonna have to step in and take something
yeah.
to take over.
Cool.
Yeah. And my second question is going to be, what do you hope I'll do?
Nice.
And I sort of, the way I think about that is like, I feel like Paris was a play. I feel like I was playing into his, into his
Yeah,
agenda. And I want to see like, okay, I kill Paris. That turns people against me. Like, I'm like looking at the news feeds now and just being
yeah.
like, what's the next logical step? How am I going to like avoid stepping into his trap?
He's hoping that you will take the marquee position for yourself and
Mm-hmm.
weaken your family in the process. That's what he's hoping you'll do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm
Um,
going to recall some like really, some ancient story of two brothers who ruled, and one was the general and one was
yeah,
the ruler. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's the, yeah, it's the, I say it's the classic story of the one who controls the arms controls the land,
yeah.
and I think he wants to bait me into undermining you.
Nice.
And I think that there's a nice poetry there because like he has got his hand on the sword and I'm standing like the outer ring of the seats. Like I'm
Right,
like
right.
circling around him and I'm like orbiting him and I am as far, I'm like not touching that sword. I've
Yeah, yeah.
definitely held it before. I've definitely
Yep.
used it. I've absolutely kidding it. So, um,
And I guess the question that, and it probably should have been his first question, but um, what do you hope he'll do? Play nice.
yeah. Um, what do I hope he'll do? I hope he'll bide his time um, and um, keep his machinations quiet enough so they don't get. Actually, let me flip that around because I'm thinking about like what I really hope is do. I hope he'll make a giant ass of himself in front of the Duke, and
Mm,
we'll be able to we'll be able to um, and we'll be able to essentially clamp down on him, um, and have it be very clear that the challenge is made with the Duke's authority. And so I think that's what I'm going to present. Thank you for asking me that, because I, as Sean, didn't know what to suggest to my brother. And now I'm going to go out and I say, all right, there's no way that I'm going to appease him. So I think the next step is, in fact, to instigate and to provoke him, and to provoke him into doing something that gives you good reason to challenge him while the treaties are being signed. Because if that happens, the Duke will see the nonsense for what it is, and you'll have his support in the duel.
Can we give him what he wants?
Nestor, give him control of the station.
No, give him a fake rift between us.
Oh, make him think that he is has the upper hand. Brother, I didn't know that you were one to make a ruse. Are you the incompetent leader afraid to take action, or am I the rash warmonger who wants to keep picking fights?
He smiles and says,
or a little of both.
I think it's probably best if you're more the warmonger than me, the incompetent.
All right, I'm gonna go pick a fight, and you're gonna tell me I can't do it.
Sounds good. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Are you two? Is like the next scene some kind of nightly gathering, or?
Yeah, I was thinking. I was thinking perhaps I was thinking something where the knights all have to go before the engineer priests and like kind of like I don't know, sanctify themselves before the Duke is going to arrive.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Some sort of ritual that's supposed to sort of be a somber event, where they each go and maybe there's like some really weird clause where somebody can challenge that. Someone can speak out against them, but it's never used. Like no one ever does it. But this is where all the knights basically it's though the knights really truly have the power. There's this like perfunctory figure. There's this perfunctory for appearances only sense that the church is who appoints them. The church is the one who like makes their status official. If you're good with the techno god, you're in good standing.
Yeah.
And I think I want to pick a fight with one of Nestor's cronies. One of his flunkies. I want to find a reason to try and like snake my way up to the leadership. Someone.
Yeah, and I think like you and your brother talk about this pretty carefully. So I think who you pick a fight with is something that you discuss.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
quite a bit.
Yeah,
and he says, "Are we sure we want it to be one of his cronies? Do we want it to be someone on the other side?"
If I fight, I mean, clearly he was willing to sacrifice Paris to cause a rift between us. And like this is the funniest thing. We've been talking all super political, all like very high level. We're being honest, but we're not being like close. We're not acting as brothers, we're acting as leaders. And I say clearly he was willing to sacrifice Paris to create a rift between us. And then like it finally hits Alexei that like maybe that worked. And he kind of looks at his brother and he's like, Did he? I've apologized to many people, but I haven't apologized to you. Or I've explained my actions to many people, but I realized I hadn't done it to you, and I kind of this like genuine like, are we cool
Right.
moment for a second where I I want to know if I've made his life harder. I mean, I know I made his life harder. Honestly, that's not a
Yeah.
question. It's just how upset is he about it.
He said, so just now you've thought to come and talk to me about it?
I hate to admit, but the greasy wheel, the greasy space axle gets the grease. So many other people have demanded my story. You're the one. You're the only one who hasn't. And I should have told you before, but I was busy putting out fires. It's not an excuse. You're right. I should have told you. I should have asked you sooner.
Yeah, I think he just like rubs his face and is tired, and says, I'm glad you came to me when you did. I try to think of your marquee first next time.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm kind of reevaluating the plan. We spin some hollow images around, and I look at the people on the factions, on the Troy sieging factions.
Yeah.
And I look at some offenses that they've, because they've all, like, no one's hands are clean here.
Right.
Certainly not mine either. So, I think I'm going to call in Calches. I think, we probably dismissed him before.
Yeah.
But he is, I think he's got some insight here. And I kind of also I like before I do it, I looked to my brother and I said, I think Calches could help us here. He has my confidence.
Yeah. He calls him in.
Yeah. And we haven't named him, but let's pick some shit starter, somebody who's been causing trouble.
Yeah. Calches points out. Oh man.
Sorry. Names.
No, it's okay. I've got links. We're good. Calches pulls, as you said, pulls a hologram out, and says, "This is Sir Rigmus."
Sir Rigmus, or is that one name, Sir Rigmus?
Yeah, Sir, and then Rigmus. He is the most prolific of the duelists, and he took one wound that he has since recovered from, and he is back out of the hospital today.
Guessing he's ready for the next fight.
Indeed.
Awesome. So I think, that to me, I'm ready to like cut right to the, not it's not coronation because it's not a single person, but it's like the equivalent of like going up and breaking bread, or like you do some sort of like some sort of religious ceremony. I'm real bad at this.
Yeah.
But and presumably all of the knights should go through this, and there shouldn't be any interruption, but I'm going to interrupt it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So you like walk into the church spoiling?
Yeah, yeah. I think I would be there because this is an official
Yeah,
act.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, so I'm watching, um, and I'm going to. I think I'm going to wait until Um, I think I'm going to like before the thing begins, start prodding him, and then um, uh, when the actual when he's actually about to be called up, that's when I'm gonna try and set him off. And
yeah,
I start plotting him, being like, how can you show your face here? I fought a duel out of honor and necessity. You fight them to wag your sword. I thought you were, I was hoping you would still be in the hospital another day longer, but I wouldn't have to see your face in here. And I'm just
yeah.
starting
He says,
shit.
"Be careful." He says, "Yeah," and I think he turns on you pretty fast, and he says, "Be careful. Uh, you don't have your family's true sword to hide behind." And
I think I should
I,
probably. I feel like I should make a move here to try and like get him, because the whole thing is I need to challenge him so my brother can tell me to back off. So I need to get him to do something shitty, right? Like
right,
if he challenges me, I'm in a bad position because
right,
I can't just back out. But if I
yeah,
challenge
yeah,
him,
yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
brother
No,
can
I
be
love
like,
it.
"No, I rescind that." So I got to like rile him up and get him to say something that looks justifiable for me
Yeah,
for
and
me
I
to.
think the other thing that's happening is that he is reticent to challenge you to a duel in the fucking church, right? Like
Yeah, absolutely.
that's a ridiculous move.
Right. Well, and
Because he's
that's part of the reason why I'm doing it, right? Is
yeah,
to show myself as picking fights for no good reason. Yeah, just like it. Maybe in the flashback, maybe in the scene in the future, we'll be like, yeah, this is all calculated and well planned. But right now, this just feels like a giant gamble. That's great. So yeah, I don't think he's going to challenge me. So I'm going to just try and keep goading him. Talk about the last duel. I saw the vids. Um, I saw the dust he threw in his opponent's eyes, his lowbrow.
yeah,
Not the dust, the lens flare he cast in his opponent's eyes.
yep, yep.
Um, you know, uh, and try to get him to say something offensive to me so that I can challenge him.
Cool,
Um,
cool. Let's make a roll. Trying
yeah,
to manipulate him.
yeah. Is this leadership? Does that sound right to you? Liaison?
Doesn't sound like leadership or liaison.
Okay. So should I roll it +0?
I think -1.
Okay. Um, yeah, dude, shit starting is
Yeah.
not my wheelhouse.
Wow.
Well, friends, if you want to know
Yeah.
how dice can turn on someone,
So
how things can go badly.
tell me how you go too far. Like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I claim. Let's see. What's a? I'm gonna look at like what's some of our values. I want to breach one of our tenants. Um, during Cathedral.
Do we have tenants?
No, we don't. Okay, never mind. I was thinking something. One of our like features of the thing might be something I could. I'm going to sort of reincorporate what he was saying. I don't have the sword on my hand. I'm going to claim that he is trying to form a coup. That when he mentions you don't have the true sword, I say that's right. It's where it belongs, not in the greedy hands of your house, Sir Rigmus. You would you would take the sword. I know that that you that your greedy eyes covet my family sword, and
Nice.
I accuse him of trying to form a coup himself, which is
Yeah, yeah,
got some fun. That's real bad. I mean, that's a horrible.
yeah. Um, I think uh, a priest steps up and says,
So good.
you know, Lord Alexei, I Sir Rignus fought on behalf of your family. This is hardly the place. I just don't think he would do anything. His family has served yours for generations. They and I think like he's stuttering, and your brother steps up and says, "Priest, are the holy guard here?" And the priest says, "Yes." And he says, "Fetch them."
And I look like I'm super happy, like he's gonna send Rigmus. Actually,
Right.
I blew this roll. I don't know what's going on. This could
Yeah.
be, yeah. So I'm gonna look at him perplexed and confused.
Yeah, and the church guard comes and he says, "Please put my brother in isolation. Take away his weapons. He has breached the church's holy sanctuary, and we must decide what to do with him." And like you could hear a pin drop in the room, and the guards I think are in, kind of they've got poleaxes and uh, are in powered armor,
Mm-hmm.
and their visors turn to you. I think around like the rim, under their under the glass shields, are mathematician saints, little figures of mathematician saints, and
Nice.
the uh, equations that they contributed, to your society. And yeah, they start taking your sword belt, or they start. I mean, do you have any weapons on you? I guess.
Well, that's the funny thing is I think normally in the past I've always said that I go unarmed because I don't want someone to be able to challenge me to fight. But I think in this particular case, I've got my sword at my side because it's a
Yeah.
ceremonial event, and like you're expected, all of the knights are expected to come to this
Yeah.
as part of their pledge. I'm sure there's something that's done with the sword as part of the pledge. So yeah, and when they see me, I just like. I just take, I take my whole belt off.
Yeah.
So it's belt, scabbard, and all. And I just slam it into one of their chests, forcefully.
Yeah.
Knock one, like give it to them, but like knock one of them back. I mean, they're in
Yeah.
power armor, so probably not knock one of them back, but
Right.
there's a hearty thud.
Yep.
And then, yeah, and then just like again, not like a normal thing. Like I think I like reach like down to my pant leg and pull out like the boot dagger,
Yeah.
that was hidden, and cast that down as well.
Cool. Yeah, and I think they walk you up to the tower to put you in seclusion, and that's about an hour. Why don't we take a break and come back to that?
Sounds great. It sounds great.
Cool.
Well, it did not work the way I wanted it to. Made an ass of myself rather than Rigmus, but there was something there.
Yeah.
I'm scowling on the way out. Fans of the show will be like, that like, because I'm sure when the editors cut it together, they did this part and then they show the planning afterwards. So the
Yeah.
fans like it cut right to this, and then the fans like fans of the show will be like, Alexi seemed a lot less hot-headed in other episodes than this
Right.
one. Yeah.
Totally.
All right, I'm gonna throw the 5-minute video on,
Sounds
and
good. I'm
and
gonna
then
scarf some pizza.
we'll be back. All right, see y'all, friends.